It was a massive night of games. 3 games of footy on our Super Saturday. Plenty to talk about. Obviously, a few injuries in this one, a few guys getting lower scores, a few guns not going as perfect as a lot of people wanted, and a lot of people wanting to make some silly trades as per normal. This is going to happen for the first sort of 5 to 6 rounds at least, where everyone's going, oh, yeah, I picked the wrong gun. Let's get Tago in. Let's get Jerome Hughes in. Think about it, guys. We know what the averages of these guys are going to be across the season. We're pretty close to set on a lot of guys. They're going to average pretty much the same as what they did last year. You look at Jerome Hughes; he had games like that last year. You look at Angus Crichton; he had games in the 30s last year. To think that you should trade Crichton down to a Matt Burton who hasn't even played yet, he might get 35, for example, today. To then trade someone like Billy Smith who got 5 and just the Roosters had a really bad game. To trade him up to Tago for some, just making 2 trades to get Tago in is probably silly. Things are going to come up. We haven't even finished the round yet, so just wait, breathe, as we said in that last video. Just chill out for a little bit. Wait till the 2 games are done today. Wait till team lists come out, and then you can make your decisions. But trading keepers out unnecessarily, why did you pick them up in the first place? That's what you got to think to yourself. Anyway, let's go through the 3 games. Please subscribe if you haven't yet. Please like this video if you haven't yet. I'd appreciate that. Roosters and Knights. So, all right, so my mouse is set up. Beautiful. Gagai comes to the Knights and has an incredible game. A little in and away, a couple of fens to get down the sideline. Had a really big try assist there, and a good try another time. So awesome game for him. You can't really do any better. 23 tackles for 1 miss. He was awesome. How good the Knights will be going forward, I'm not exactly sure, but they had a great start and Roosters played terribly. So just keep that in mind when you're looking at these plays. Obviously, the first bunch of plays here are all from the Knights. There's not really anyone that scored well in the Roosters team apart from, say, Connor Watson. Even Crichton's up there in the ranks, but he had a poor game to his standards, for example. So just be aware of that when you're picking up guys as well, that if they had a great week this week, there's a very high chance they're going to score less than that. And guys that had a poor week this week in Crichton, there's a very good high chance they're going to score in the 60s next week. So just be aware of that. The Gags, Fitzgibbon got 70. I wouldn't be looking to pick him up. Had a little bit of an injury and ended up continuing to play. So, somebody got 80 minutes, but he hasn't scored many scores around that number there. So don't be too excited by him. Someone like Frizzell, for example, has had a lot of games where he's scored like that. If you're looking at the offloads as well, they haven't been updated for their +4 offloads as well. So keep that in mind. Clifford was 63, so picked up a nice try through the middle and a lot of run meters. So that won't happen every game. That was pretty lucky. The ball kind of just fell in his lap, and he was able to get sort of 15 points from that and a goal. So somewhere in the high 40s, I think would be pretty sustainable for Cliff, just because he gets into everything. If he didn't have that run, that was about a 50-meter run there, 40, 50 meter. If he doesn't have that, that drops down to the 60, 70 meter mark, which is pretty decent. Kick meter is probably a little bit higher for him, I'd say, in general. Tackle numbers pretty solid, only 1 miss and 1 penalty. So had a pretty great game. If you started with him, awesome. If you didn't, I wouldn't think too much into him. Dom Young was an interesting one. He had the perfect game as well. His best game as a Knight. You can see he's priced at 367 for a reason. From his games last year, he didn't go too incredibly, so I wouldn't be rushing to get him in either. Chris Randall had an awesome game, 50 tackles for no misses. He's incredible. 2 turnover tackles in that is pretty standard in a 50 tackle effort, and actually kicked a little bit out of dummy half as well. So it'd be nice to see him start running the ball a little bit more, but that's not his game at this stage anyway. But if he can continue racking up those tackle numbers, he's going to make a lot of money for our sides, which is great. Connor Watson, he looks like he's going to get the spot now for at least the next month. So, with Verrills going down with his broken thumb, was it broken hand? Broken thumb. So 53 tackles for Connor in the team that got pumped. He's 51. You'll take for sure. That's just under his price point, and 65 minutes will be pretty normal for him. So he's not someone that you should rush to get into your side either. If you picked up Ponga from the start, you're really happy with his effort. A couple of offloads, a turnover tackle, 4 tackle breaks there, 167 meters. And some kick defusals, a couple of forced dropout in there as well, and a get out of dummy. What do we call it? There we go. EFIG is the getting out of the in goal. Okay, so that's what that 2 points there is at the end, and you got the FDO's forced dropout as well. I'm not sure what the acronym is for that in goal one yet, but that's that. So 50 for him. You take. He's hitting his right in his price point. He didn't get any attacking stats in terms of tries or try assists, so that's awesome. If he can have that as a bit of a base Yes, they scored, they played really well, but there'll be games where he has to take over also. So that's Pong. Crichton there with 47. So 40 tackles for 1 miss, 1 error in there as well, 113 meters. So 0 offloads, 0 tackle breaks, no tries, no try assists. If you have 47 as your base, then you're going to do pretty well. So that's Crichton there. He's got the dual position. He'll be completely fine. You just be able to pick him up a little bit cheaper this week if you're interested in him and the Roosters getting back on track, for example. Cody Mann, he was having an awesome game, was pretty close to a point a minute for a good portion of the game there. He then got moved to the hooking position when Randall went off. So that actually dropped his meters gain, and he actually didn't get to make too many tackles at that point. So it was a little bit annoying. The 2 tackle breaks is solid with his 1 offload there and 1 turnover tackle. He'll be great. 45 is 7 points over what he's valued at. You got the dual position. If you don't have him, it was actually really surprising. Only 14% of people had him. I was really looking for him to get over 50 when we came on for that second stint, but he did go off for a HIA as well, so maybe that's why they just moved him into the hooking position. I'm not exactly sure, or if that's going to be a regular thing, him covering Randall going forward. So that's that. Tupanua in there with 39. He's 80 minutes again, no attacking stats. Anyone in Roosters didn't go too well. Clune had a bit of a slow start and then built up, so 37 makes him a little bit of cash, but again, not someone I'd be looking to pick up. He might have a couple extra missed tackles and stuff when his opposition plays a little bit better. Manu with 34. You'll take that when his team went that bad. If they start playing well, he'll do better. He was mixing between the centre and the wing as well with Momorowski. I don't know if you guys all noticed that. Fletcher Baker with his 34 in his 32 minutes there. He started a little bit slower in terms of his points per minute and then came on for his second small stint there and did a lot better. So you're really happy with that effort. In that amount of time in a team that went pretty poorly to only have 1 missed tackle and what was the one there? What's that? 1 penalty. Is that far one? So yeah, he did all right. I wouldn't be looking to race to pick him up, for example, but yeah, he did well at his 240k price point. Teddy's obviously was an issue. 4 tackle breaks, 150 meters, no attacking stats with the 1 try saver. All he could muster up was 32, but again, you wouldn't expect anything more from him in a beaten side. Best is there. Barnett, we're going to get some cash drops from him. Kiri there at 29 wasn't great, but again, you'll get some cash drops. So he's not someone I was telling too many people to pick up. 1 try assist, just kind of slowly getting back into it. They'll be better for sure. Momorowski with a try and 29 points. Not many people would have picked him up. Sammy Walker with 26 there. So 14 tackles for 5 misses is going to be a pretty standard thing for Sammy. I'd say it was very consistent with his efforts last year, for example. So you obviously just need the try assists and the tries from him, which didn't come. The 77 run meters is great signs with 3 tackle breaks. The 1 goal, obviously ideal as well. But 122 kick meters is probably about standards to what I would have thought. 1 forced dropout there as well. So him, you need the attacking stats for him to score really big, and that's what I spoke about in the preseason for sure. But if Roosters are going to be good, then he'll score well also. So I wouldn't be stressing to race to trade him out. If you picked him for a reason. He's going to have some lower scores with some bigger scores. But if you do trade him out, I'm also fine with it because I wouldn't have started with him personally. All right, Leo Thompson got 25 minutes, so he got way more than Momasia, which I think is a great result. So he obviously didn't score really well. He had no tackle breaks, no offloads. He dropped the ball, twice, obviously. So if he can get anywhere close to, over 20 or 25 points in his 25 minutes, he'll make a little bit of cash at 220, obviously being priced so low. So I wouldn't be stressed about that. And he's going to get an opportunity over the next couple of games and then possibly more opportunities down the track. Last one to talk about is Billy Smith. So 53 minutes. He did make 5 missed tackles, but they were scoring down his side. There was a fair bit happening against them in that time. They obviously didn't play very well, so a center's not going to play very well during that time. 51 meters. He looked okay, but obviously looked a little bit tentative as well. He did start pretty slowly in last year in his first game, and then got a 50 odd the next game. So be aware of that. For Smithy, I wouldn't be looking to trade him out. He's going to be a bit cheaper around that 280 mark after this week. So be aware of that if you're looking to trade him out, that he's not going to get to go that bad every week. Remember, people can have bad games. It happens. All right, the Warriors and the Dragons. And gee, I love watching Joshy Curran play. He's just does a bit of everything, doesn't he? He tackles well, runs a good line. And this is what I was saying in that in the All-Stars game was that, yes, he didn't score that great, but he looks damaging in his runs at all times. And 66 minutes for him was awesome through the middle. Obviously, in a bit of everything, got the line break, try assist, couple offloads as well. He was awesome, and he'd be a good staple in anyone's side. Someone who's not going to be playing Origin dual position. Well done if you picked him over Crichton in this first week, but that might turn around in next game. Ravalawa is benefiting nicely on that right edge with Zach Lomax there with Sloan on his nice left to right pass. He was cool, but no one's got him in fantasy. Eli Katoa, if you picked him up, you got the nice, you got the spoils this week with 73 minutes and a try. So if he doesn't have that, you obviously take away a tackle bust or two, and he's 12 points for the try, and he's in the low 40s, which again would still make him cash and a good pickup if you decided to go that way. So well done. I just couldn't pick. I just didn't want to go for that price point, unfortunately, with some cheaper guys available, or some guys like you and Aiken at a little bit more expensive, but probably a bit safer in terms of job security and also just general points. Because you see Aiken there with his 40 tackles and 4 tackle breaks, 1 offload, only 1 missed tackle, a couple of penalties, which was annoying at the start of the game, but he really stepped up his game throughout the middle and the back end. 104 run meters, so no attacking stats, 56 points in 80 minutes. You can see what happened last year when he got the attacking stats. So that base is awesome. I'm really happy with how Aiken went, and he would fit nicely in anyone's squad for sure. Egan there with 49. So 1 try for him was solid. Again, a 620k. You need him to be scoring in the 50s regularly to be hitting his price point, and anything above that will be even better. All right, Adam Fanua-Blake, here it is. I spoke about this a lot in the preseason. It's a decent score, right? But 63 minutes for a mid, they should be getting in the 50s for sure. Yeah, at a minimum. Yes, he had 4 missed tackles, but he did have 3 tackle breaks. He did have a line break, right? And an offload as well. And to still only score 47 in that amount of time, there's going to be games where he gets 50 minutes, for example. Lodger's coming back, Tohu's coming back. There's a lot of different things to talk about there. And at 650k, he needs to be scoring mid 50s at a minimum for you to be doing well. So that's that with Adam. Don't trade him out, but just wanted to confirm what I was saying during the off season as one of the ones I probably feel like I've got correct at this point. There's a few I definitely haven't got correct, but that's that. Birdie with 47, obviously going to try a nice line he ran there. Only 22 tackles there on an edge, so they obviously had the ball for a fair bit of it. They won the game. They obviously played pretty well, so he didn't have to make a crazy amount of tackles, and only 97 meters. So it wasn't a massive game for him, but when he's priced at 43 as a dual edge and center, you get that 47 points in the centers. You take that every day of the week when there's guys like Billy Smith getting 5. Some other guys might get 20. Obviously, a few of the centers have done pretty well this week with Tago, but like Penasini, hopefully he doesn't, but he could get a 20 today. So he's a nice safe option. Jackie Bird. Lomax in there with 44. Love me some Lomax. So he had a great game. Nice try assists, 4 goals. Just solid all around. No negatives across the board. So he was great for 44 and in the 66 minutes, having to go off early, unfortunately. But he'll be fine. Tyrell Sloan with 43, so he looked really slick. His passing games is really nice, so I'm really happy with his output for 4 tackle breaks, 92 meters only. So, and the line break also. So he had a great game at 500k. Obviously, he has to score in the 40s and 50s pretty regularly to make money. So that's that there. JDB only 51 minutes, so he'd have to get 60 plus, I think, for him to be worth it. He's obviously priced in the low 50s, so that's that for JDB. Johnson with 40 was solid also. But again, didn't have to do a crazy amount. Did exactly what he needed to do. Unfortunately, they didn't get the win there. But 500 kick meters is going to be pretty standard. The missed tackles for him is always going to be a little bit of an issue. And he has to either score tries or set up a couple more for him to be worth it. Because he has to score in the 50s to be making some cash. So that's that. All right, we go to Benny Hunt and just had a bit of a nothing game, unfortunately. 325 meters is a bit lower than normal. Ran the ball, in terms of run meters, his normal amount. Couple of errors, couple of missed tackles, only the 1 line break assist, just a bit of a nothing game for Benny. So he'll improve from there. They didn't play great. They played all right, but he didn't have to do as much. A lot of the work was done through Sloan out the back to Ravalawa, work through the centers and stuff. They did pretty solidly there. And a try through the middle for Moses Mbai, for example. So Benny will be better, but you're going to get him a little bit cheaper if you're looking to pick him up in the next couple of weeks. All right, so Sully with 30, he did his job for someone who's priced around that mark. Did all right. Got the tackle breaks. 3 errors was not ideal, so you should improve on that if you're looking, or if you have him. I wouldn't be stressing about him. Same with Rocco Berry, 28. He hits right on his break even. 20 tackles. He's an awesome defender. Only 64 run meters. So they didn't go to the left as much. They also didn't have the ball as much. 1 line break assist there, 1 tackle break. He was fine. He gets you a nice cover in centre and wing fullback if you need it, especially that wing fullback one I think is nice, and that's why I brought him into my side. But he looks right at home in the NRL. I think he's going to have a nice year. Nikorima, if you picked him up, get rid of him. Johnson does most of the work, right? So you don't see much kicking at all. 14 kick meters, so he has to do everything, attacking stats wise. Cody Ramsey, 25, did his job. Didn't have to do too much and still got 25. So you'll take that for sure. You want 85 meters up, and that's not something that's been high for him in the past. Amone, his 20 points there was okay. Like it's 18 tackles, 2 misses, 48 run meters is not enough. We knew the kick meters were going to be down, and having an error and a couple of missed tackles wasn't ideal for him. Not too similar to Ilias. Obviously the same score, but it's a different game. He's going to be needing to run the ball a lot and score tries and make assists. And if that's not going to happen all the time, or even you saw Ben Hunt didn't get the assists and the attacking stats that he needs. If Amone doesn't have those as well, then there's going to be some issues with his scoring, and that's kind of why I decided to leave him out. There's a lot of half options that are a little bit cheaper and just have a little bit more of ability to score across the park, whether that be Schneider, for example. It's a little bit of an issue with Amone, but you have some options. If you didn't pick up Tago, if you can straight swap to one of those guys, it's going to do really well. Or if you feel like you've got enough half options, and that's okay to trade him out, but I would also give him a few weeks as well. He's a young fella. He's finally got the opportunity to play in the 6 jersey, and I wouldn't be too stressed about him, because he's going to have a game where he gets a 50 or a 60 like he did last year. Like, he's going to be a better player than last year. Just remember that. All right, that's probably all we need to talk about, except for Vailea there with a 7 in his 80 minutes. So had a little bit of an injury scare when he got lifted in the he got clipped low by Hunt in the tackle, for example. But 10 tackles, 3 misses, 1 error, 1 penalty. Only 59 meters, not enough, but he's sitting at 240k. I wouldn't be stressed about trading him out. You just would like some better gameplay from him. The big issue we spoke about in the preseason is that he didn't score very well last year. So these scores are going to happen, unfortunately. What about Dallin Watini-Zalesniak with 5 points in his 80 minutes with the try? Not ideal at all. Okay, let's move to the last game, guys, of the Super Saturday, and that was the Tigers and also the Storm. And the Tigers actually played pretty solidly and had a nice start, and the Storm didn't play well, obviously, until they kind of rolled on through the second half, which you expected for sure. But Jerome Hughes there with 71 points. So a try, 2 line breaks, 7 tackle breaks, 2 offloads, a turnover tackle, 110 meters gained, and 262 meters. He just scores across the park, and this is what you're looking for in a good half and a gun half, a keeper half there. So he was great. It'll be interesting to see if Munster takes away from his stats a little bit when he comes back. Probably just a tiny bit. Obviously, a few more kick meters, you'd say. Meany kicked a little bit, but you'd expect that to be split a little bit more when Munster comes back. But Jerome Hughes is still going to score incredibly well. Luke Brooks had a bit of a slow start, and then his 29 tackles helped him out. The 270 kick meters, a little bit of running, a couple of goals and a try assist. He did his job. Peachy there off the bench played 56 minutes for his big score. Just no negatives for him, so he'll have games of 57, games of 35. Trent Lioro there with 50 in his 58 minutes off the bench. He loves getting a meat pie. And again, no negatives except for the 1 penalty there. So he had a great game, but not someone who's fantasy relevant unless he gets a start on the edge. Then he would be. Offhand Galway with 48 in his 53 minutes. I doubt he's going to get big minutes like that every time. Maybe he does, but he didn't last year, for example. Pappy, my favorite player. If you guys saw in the Discord group, just random message late last night saying I love Pappy when he was going around talking to all the fans and getting photos, and pretty much his whole team was back in the change rooms. But for him, a try saver, 2 try assists, only 109 meters is very low for him, 4 tackle breaks. So had a solid game without being amazing. It's good that he has this kind of base where he didn't have an incredible game apart from his nice flick pass, and can get 44. And then he's going to have games where they score better. Hopefully he should be getting the kicking role back and so the kicking duties. So there's an extra sort of 6, 7, 8 points on average there. He'll be fine, so don't worry about it. Pat Welch is a bit of a sad one. Looks like he's, it sounds like he's done his Achilles, unfortunately, and will be out for pretty much the year unless he can get back early for the finals. So really sad one to see from him because he was going to be obviously playing big minutes in this game. Only got to offload a couple of times. Again, they haven't updated the stats on this one, guys, so we should see a little bit of an increase for a couple of these guys. Unfortunately, he's out, but it brings in an opportunity for someone like Josh King, who should be playing some big minutes over the next bunch of weeks with Brandon Smith out and also Welch out, and then we'll talk about Jennings a little bit later. So that's that. With Josh King, we'll talk about him now, but the 35 tackles, 84 meters with a couple of negatives there is going to be about his base. So he can get in the high 30s. He should be making some cash for most teams, given he's priced in the mid-20s there. Anything above that 37, 38, he's going to be making you about 150K, which is really cool. Obviously, a little bit of a price bump this week, but has some opportunities to make a lot of cash. So he's an option. If you have an injury, then you could pop him in for sure. Stefano Utoikamanu with 40 in his 51 minutes. So I'm really happy with the minutes. I was hoping for somewhere around that 50 to 55, 60 would be ideal. He went off quick just in the last 5 minutes as well, which stopped him. If he could have played that last few minutes, would have been ideal. There will be games where the Tigers have injuries, which didn't happen in this one, so he'd get a few extra minutes from that in random games. But if he can get 51 regularly and get his PPM up closer to 1, which he has done in the past, then he'll be fine. 28 tackles for 1 miss, 1 error in there when he was trying to offload. Again, it's a 6-point, could be a 6-point play, for example, where he gets 44 or 46 rather than getting 40. When he's priced at 43, this 40 is not an issue, guys. Don't worry about him. Didn't have any offloads, which he's someone that can. No attacking stats, which he did in the back end of last year. So just be aware of that. And so keep that in mind and don't worry about him in this first few games. All right, Kelma Tuolangi. So he had 38 in his 70 minutes. So I'm really glad he got the 70. Does he keep that spot? I think he does. He was awesome. Like, he actually looked really, really good on that side. Ran the ball really well. 3 tackle breaks and offload there. For his 22 tackles for 2 misses. Again, that 22 tackles is probably a little bit low compared to what it could be. So really happy with him. He's going to make some cash pretty comfortably if he keeps that spot. And I'd continue to start him in your side, I think, for sure. All right, we see some other scores there. Nofaluma with 34. 1 try there, so he did okay. He won't make any money off that, but it's about stock standard. 12 with lower minutes, so he's going to lose some cash. Being a 683 is crazy. Wishart was solid off the bench. Will he keep his spot? He probably will keep it off the bench. Won't be playing big minutes, so he's not an option, I don't think. But we'll make a little bit of cash off that 31. All right, another big preseason one, guys. Lucy Leilua. Wow. If you picked him up, which, does it say how many did? 3.2%. So 3.2% of people grabbed him in their squad off his delightful trials, and obviously his scores in the back end of the entirety of last year, averaging over 50. People are going to think, how much is he going to improve? I did say he's going to have a chance of having these games. This is probably way lower than I thought he was going to get. Only a couple of negatives there, but 14 tackles. So you can see that the Storm went through the middle a lot and weren't going to the edges with Tuolangi only having 22 in his 70 minutes and Leilua having 14 tackles is just crazy. So you'd expect him to be getting 25 to 35 on a regular basis in the tackle count. But just be aware that Guns can get low scores too, and he'll probably come back next week and have a 70 with a try. So don't be stressed about him. He was very consistent last year, but he can have those games in the 30s and the 40. This is really low with those tackles, and then he's going to have games where he just dominates and gets 70 and 80. So just be aware of that. Hastings with 22 in his 80 minutes, just didn't have to do too much and didn't kick too much either. So Brooks did the majority of the kicking, which is very concerning for someone like Hastings when you have a lot of halves in your team. Owned by 5.3%, that's a bit of a tough one there. I looked to hold him for a few more weeks. He obviously knew that there's a chance that he was going to start slow. So just be patient with someone like Hastings. If you feel like you have to make a trade, then he's someone that you could, because I feel like there's a bunch of different good halves options, even though Ilias didn't go too great. Simkin, this is what we were worried about happening. He had 2 turnover tackles and still only got 22 points in 61 minutes. That's just not good enough. 27 tackles, 4 misses, 3 penalties, no running of the footy. So he's someone that you shouldn't have on your side. He's probably owned by a decent percentage, 4%. So enough people own him. Xavier Coates, the 22, owned by 32% of people. Look, he scored just less than Tommy for a lot less. So that's something. But a try and a line break to only have 22 points in a team that won, not good enough. He's always been someone that doesn't work too much out of the backfield. 86 meters there, just not enough. No tackle breaks. He's just, will he ever be a great scorer in fantasy? I don't think so. He's going to have games where he gets 50 for sure, but he'll have a lot of these 22 games. He'll have a 15 game. He'll have a 10 game. He would have had a 10 if he didn't score that try. So be aware of that. Obviously, that left side didn't go too great because Olam had 18 as well. Yeah, even George Jennings had a better game pretty much on the right side in 24 minutes. And then just to finish it off, unfortunately, we lose Brandon Smith. Probably for a month, it looks like broken hand for him. He ran straight off after 2 minutes, 4 tackles there and picked up a error, unfortunately. But he, just a tough one for him. And if he's going to be out for a month, you're going to trade him out at that price. He's going to be down about the 630, 640 mark. So you can straight swap into a lot of people, or you can use his cash to downgrade and upgrade elsewhere. It's obviously shit. If he played the full game and got 40, 50, and then got injured at the end, you're kind of okay with it because you get the points and then you can make the trades that you need to anyway to fix up your squad. But yeah, very, very sad to see him go down if you decide to pick him up over one of the guns or just going with Randall as a hooker, for example. So that's that, guys. I hope you enjoyed this. We'll leave that there and look forward to the 2 Sunday games, obviously the Eels and the Titans, and then my mighty Cowboys up against the Dogs. And yes, I did wear a normal shirt today. We'll get the guns out just for the finish for you all. There you go. Hope you appreciate that, and we'll catch you in the next video, guys. Have a great day.